Hey YouTube, what's going on? It's Dreamy Pisces coming to you on an early Saturday morning to do a video. I had some things swirling around in my head as I, sat out in the backyard. I definitely come outside to get comfort from everything, really. Nature has always had a way of healing me and making me feel calmer. But I wanted to speak a little bit about, spiritual awakening. I'm looking tired, obviously, because I just woke up. But I didn't, the kids are asleep. So I said, let me take advantage of my quiet moment till they come back out here and interrupt. But anyway, so I wanted to speak a little bit about the spiritual awakening that so many thousands and thousands of people have gone through. People have been going through spiritual awakenings for forever and ever and ever. As long as we've existed, people have had spiritual epiphanies. People's minds have opened up, their third eye, their pineal gland, all of those things, which basically gives you a different sense of awareness about your surroundings and about yourself, spiritually, mentally, physically. Spiritual awakening can give you awareness about the world system that we live in, that we work in, that we shop in. It can give you information about why you are the way that you are, who you really are, which is, and I still hold true and stand very strong on the fact that I'm a spiritual being having a human experience, that I have been placed in this body, this flesh, but my spirit is what is really the driving force behind this body. If there was no spirit, the body would die. The flesh would perish and fall to the ground without the inner working of the spirit and the soul. But my journey started over 3 years ago, where I went through a traumatic life experience that kind of slapped me in the face, woke me up out of my sleep, as people would say. If you're not awake, you're asleep. And just being, I used to be very trusting into voting. I used to be very trusting into many different things. The lie, basically, that American dream. And I really used to seek after that. The American dream tells us to, grow up, you go to school, you go to college. If you do it in the right order, you go to college, you meet someone, you get married. Well, you graduate, of course. You find a good job, you get married, and you have children. You get a house, you get the white picket fence. You live happily ever after. But how many times does that really happen for us, especially people of color? That doesn't happen that often. And usually, when we are seeking after that, we're chasing after this ideal that has been given to us by a certain people, group of people that pretty much run the world. They say, hey, this is the way that life is. They have constructed this this cage, if you will. They've constructed this whole entire cage, and they pretty much have had our lives mapped out for us. And these people that are in charge, that make the rules, of course, we know that they're very, very rich. They're very, very powerful, and a lot of them don't even have a face. But as you're on your spiritual journey and you're digging and you're researching and reading, because I know that's something that I did. Once I kind of woke up, I felt like I wanted to take on information. I needed to read. I needed to research. I watched YouTube videos, hours and hours and hours into researching as much as I could, but also, still working and taking care of my kids and things like that. But every free moment of my time, I turned the TV off. I tried to change my eating habits and went through meditation and, practiced yoga. I started getting into crystals and crystal healing. Eventually, I even dived a little bit into the tarot, got me a few decks of tarot cards, and, just trying to understand the whole metaphysical side of life that they do not tell us about in school. Prior to my spiritual awakening, I guess I could say that I was somewhat of a devout Christian, because I went to church, I paid my tithes, I read my Bible, I prayed on a regular basis to Jesus, and the reason why I did that is because that's what was given to me, that's what was shown to me, and also I needed something. I always felt like maybe there's something else. There's got to be something else. Of course, as you know by the name of my page, I am a Pisces, so Pisces tend to always want to search for something else, like the next great adventure, the next great form of stimulation, so that we can feel like we're alive, because we tend to get bored, and once we kind of delve into something really deep and we juice it for everything that it's worth, it's like, okay, what's next? But I've always felt like there was, even as a child, just growing up, going to school, sitting in those classrooms, I just never, felt like I fit, like I was meant to be there. And I would always feel like there's something else to life. I'm supposed to be doing something else with my life. But anyway, so, I delved into Christianity in my early 20s because one of my sisters, she was 33 years old, and she just died. Like, she just dropped dead. She had a heart condition, and that led me to Christianity because I felt like I had such a hole in my heart. I needed something to fulfill that urge, so it took me to the church. The church opened their arms to my family during the time of our loss because we did not have a church home, and that's kind of how my Christian journey got started. And I don't regret my journey. I appreciate it because it did help me to build some self-control. It helped me to, be a little bit more grounded in my life. It helped me to focus on something greater than myself and to know that I was connected to something else. So I don't knock it per se, but we all know, well, most of us should know, and I'm not knocking anybody that's a Christian, but when you really become awakened and you start to researching the origins, it's really about the origins of all of these things that we celebrate, such as holidays. Why do we celebrate holidays? Who started the Christian religion? Who started all of these different religions? We're never taught those things. We're just taught what's in this book and said to follow it. And if you don't follow it, you're going to go to hell. You're a heathen. And I never wanted to be a heathen. I never wanted to be a bad person. I was scared. Christianity placed fear. They said, you put the fear of God in you, and that's what I was fearful of. But as I began to expand my mind, I said, is that really godly to create fear into human beings? Or, are we meant to have freedom? And I don't mean being freedom and just, being wild and out of control and, YOLO, I do what I want to do and all of this stuff. I'm not talking about that. That's something different. But as I started to read, and I started reading instead of the 10 Commandments, the 42 principles of Ma'at, and you realize it's really about structure. And I feel like that was a certain sense of structure was taken away from us as we got away from our ancient teachings and started getting into Western religious teachings. But the truth is, the Christian religion is just, pretty much stolen information. So there is a lot of truth in it. There is a lot of truth intertwined into a group of people that created this book. They say, oh, it's inspired by God. In a sense it is. In a sense it is inspired by ancient teachings, but they leave so much out and they add so much to it. They created a story. They fed it to our ancestors during slavery, and and we're all kind of in somewhat of a confused state because of that. But it's a lot of good stuff in the Bible. I'm not even going to lie to you, but that's not something that I try to live. Now, once you get to a certain point in your life, you have to know, between the right and wrong. right and wrong. I really didn't mean for this video to go this long. I think I'm going to do a part 1 and a part 2 because I really wanted to talk about the positives and the negatives of this spiritual awakening once you've been in it for a while, because there are lots of positives and lots of negatives that go into it. So, but yeah, I'm gonna kind of leave right there with the part 1 of the spiritual awakening. So once we evolve from a religion, and then we start to evolve into just an inner knowing, because I feel like we all have inner truths. I feel like it's in our DNA. It just has to be activated. I feel like our ancestors are with us, our angels, those helpers behind the scenes that we can't see. They're there leading us and guiding us. And we just have to be able to tap into it and to connect with them. And that's the hardest thing, is to connect with them, because of so many different things. And when we're waist deep, up to here in this Christian religion, we're taught not to deal in, astrology and all of these other things. But I feel that is just a way for them to control us and to keep us away from our truth, to keep us away from our birthright, to keep us away from the knowing of who we really are. But I'm going to tell you, there are a lot of disadvantages to diving into other forms of knowledge, because it's like you're diving into a deep ocean. I feel like Christianity, you're kind of walking around in a little teeny pond, and once you step outside of that pond and you dive into the ocean, the information is endless. It never ends. As soon as you get to one topic, there's another topic. As soon as you feel like you've gained a piece of truth, there's another piece of truth, And in the end, after reading and researching so many different things, and you're able to sit back and look at it all, then it's like, where are you now? As I was going through my spiritual journey, and I was very passionate about it, a good friend of mine said that someone had told them, you better be sure of what you're looking for. You better be sure of the information that you're trying to seek after. You better be sure that you have a goal of what you're trying to seek, because you can get lost out there. And when he told me that a couple years ago, I didn't fully understand. I mean, I guess I did to a degree, but I was like, who cares? I love this, syncing up all of this knowledge. I love it, but there is definitely a downside to it. So I'll be back in my next video, if you choose to come back, to give you some positives and some negatives of the spiritual awakening process, and kind of where I am today, 3+ years later, what my view of life is. And just stick around, and I'll be right back.